All right, we've got the Motion Pro tool here set up. I just kind of have it hanging here for the moment. But what we're going to do first, here, I'll pull this off. Is take another couple of measurements, because we want to get these flared out to a certain size. We'd say no more, no less. So I think the range is 5.5 millimeter to 5.7. So somewhere, if you can get close into the 5.6, I believe on this DID, you're pretty close. So what you can do for fun, if you have a caliper like so, is you can measure one of these guys just to kind of get a very rough ballpark figure. If we can get this with gloves on and facing the camera. So we got 5.72. It's upside down, but that's what it is. The sprocket's a little bit in the way the other way. If you want to try again the one on the other side, we got 5.70. So we'll go ahead and measure these before we flare them. And we got 5.4243 and a 5.35, it looks like. So well, let me zero this off again. Again, gloves upside down. I'm not being super accurate. 5.39, 5.38. All right, so we're in the 5.4 range. We want to go up probably 5.65-ish. Or if we could go to 7 without too much worry, I think. So we will do that. So this guy, tool press, we've got the flare piece inside of here with a spring. I'm going to back that off. I have it out here just to sort of show at the moment, but I'm going to back it off because we want this outer ring to sit on the plate as we press this in. And this bottom piece they call an anvil, it's indented a little bit so it'll fit on the pin on the other side to keep everything straight. So if we can get that there, we can back this off just a little bit, get this over the pin here. Kind of just feeling it out too to see how far that is. So we've got that on there securely. We measured it at around 5.38 roughly. So we've got a bar here that we can place to turn this guy. We've got a handle we can use here. You can also hold this. I think this is a 14 millimeter, but I think the handle's what this is made for right now. All right, so we've got these guys flared out now. After I got to 5.6 or a little over, it just didn't feel like they had much bite or flare. And that's just by feel. So I went ahead and put them just over 0.7. So we've got about 5.72 to 5.75 on one of them, which I don't think is too much. because it's definitely not flat, but it's got a little lip on them, and we're going to call that good. One thing to note, if you're interested and have a similar tool, I think it was sort of limited to the flare if the tool riveter is back up in this housing. So this housing sort of is only so big. So I ended up pushing this out a bit and doing a couple more turns on it just to get it to flare out a little bit more than it was. And I guess the other thing of note is it took a bit of work. I've seen guys, other videos where they're like, oh, a little quarter of a turn. This was like almost 2 full turns, and putting, you know, a lot of muscle into it as well, just to get it just to that point. So anyway, for anybody else that experiences anything like that, you're not alone, or maybe I'm alone, I don't know. Anyway, I'm satisfied with that. The chain's too tight as it is, but it's no big deal. I tightened it up just so I could have it a little bit tauter to work with. We've got this spanner here. We can loosen up things in the back. It's a little unwieldy to get in there, but once you can get a hold of that spanner, you can just move it just a little bit and it'll loosen this guy back up. And I'm going to go check the specs on that to see what that should be. And then we will get this nut back on here. Actually, I've got it with me. And I'll end up torquing that down once I get this chain in spec where I want it. It's a little bit loose here. Like I said, I'm going to try to set it to factory recommended spec, and we'll see how much it stretches, being a new chain, over time. And then we've got this clip too that'll go on there, and then we will torque the front sprocket nut down as well. I think that was 168, 169 Newton meters, something like that. Maybe 189. I'll double check that as well, and I'll let you know. Thanks. Alright, so we got our new chain on, master link, rivets flared, new sprockets front and rear. So we're gonna try to close this guy off. I torqued this nut down back here on the rear sprocket. The manual says 230 Newton meters, and then the front sprocket, we'll take a look at that in a minute. I torqued that down to 186 Newton meters. So right now we are going to look at this chain tension, which is loose here. I'll throw this guy on in a minute too. I'm a little ADD, so we're all over the place. So the chain tension for the Hyperstrada regular seat is different than the low seat, and different than the Hypermotard, and different than the Hypermotard SP. So if you need to know those, shoot me a comment and I will answer it, or just pick up a manual. It's all in there. For the Hyperstrada regular seat, it is roughly 6 centimeters or 60 millimeters. So what they like you to do is to measure, if I can get this turned just a little, from the aluminum of the swing arm down to the center of the rivet. So in this case, this rivet is pretty much below the edge of this stopper here, and we will if we look here on my ruler, it's roughly about 7 centimeters, or almost 70 millimeters. So it's a little too slack. It's pretty close, but all we need to do, grab the spanner, get yourself back into here without busting your knuckles up, place it on there, and it won't take much, I think. So if we can get it on there, that might even be too much, but we'll look to see what we've got here. And that's right about 6. So 6 centimeters or 60 millimeters. So the spec is 59 to 61 millimeters if you're interested. And once you get that down, you take your 14 millimeter wrench or socket, and hopefully my battery will last a few more minutes. And show you back here these 2 nuts. So these 2 guys, we'll tighten these down. Righty tighty. I suggest getting a socket to do that. So we'll tighten those down. Those are spec'd at 31 Newton meters. And then after that, at least the last thing for the chain and sprockets is this washer up here. If I can get a little light going. We want to flare this washer out over this nut. So the nice piece about this sprocket is it has these holes, so we can get a screwdriver back here and just sort of bend this guy out. So I'm going to bend those out, fold it down over this, that'll hold that on, and tighten those nuts back there for the chain tension. And then we need to get the shifter back on, obviously, and after that we will do a test ride, hopefully soon. All right, hey, thanks for watching.